the Dallas Mavericks would select Luka Doncic, effectively knocking out one of the hardest steps to becoming a contender. Luka Doncic is a bona fide superstar. It feels like some of the things that he does absolutely defy the laws of basketball, let alone physics. Luka has the crossover that I wish I had. I can't believe that when we talk about some of the best ball handlers in the game of basketball today, that Luka's name is rarely mentioned. Anyways, I can sit here and talk about Luka Doncic all day. The guy is an absolute phenom and already one of the best players in the game of basketball. He's a ridiculous regular season player, and when the playoffs come around, he somehow finds a way to become even more ridiculous. This season, the Dallas Mavericks were able to shock not only the Phoenix Suns, but also the world, en route to reaching the Western Conference Finals. While the Dallas Mavericks do have Luka Doncic, their work is far from done. It's like when you draft that star, you do knock out one of the hardest steps to becoming a contender, but then it's also like your work is really just getting started. In today's NBA, we know that nothing is promised, and with a star on the roster, that the clock is ticking, and you better bet that you want to make the most of your time, because if you don't, then somebody else will. This offseason, the Dallas Mavericks would lose Jalen Brunson. I really like Jalen Brunson, as you guys know, and I think that his upside is off the charts. But the reality for the Dallas Mavericks is that they really had no shot to retain him, for better or worse. I know that the Mavericks are hoping for improved health this upcoming season, but I still think that some people are sleeping on the impact of losing a Jalen Brunson. Now, this isn't me saying that the Mavericks are going to be bad or anything like that, but just that with Brunson leaving, there's a hole that's going to need to be filled. Initially, I thought that the Dallas Mavericks would make a move for Kyrie, but those reports would get shot down pretty quickly. And then I thought that we might see the Dallas Mavericks try to acquire Collin Sexton. Since he has this very high talent bar, the Mavericks can use more playmakers, and also he fits the mold of the type of player that the Mavericks have been going after. Guys that for whatever reason have a bad reputation, but also possess a lot of talent. We've seen reports that players don't like Collin Sexton. These reports are unfortunately very similar to the brutal reports that surrounded Spencer Dinwiddie before he was traded. They were really doing Spencer Dinwiddie super dirty. Imagine you're just hooping and then all of a sudden you start to see reports that your teammates don't like you. Not only do they not like you in these reports, but they also reportedly think that you're a shell of yourself. Now, while Spencer Dinwiddie, Christian Wood, and Tim Hardaway Jr. are talented offensive players, I still thought that the Mavericks needed more playmaking and shot creation help going into the 2022 NBA draft. Fortunately for the Dallas Mavericks, they would leave the 2022 NBA draft with Jaden Hardy, who, get this, was drafted with the 37th pick in the draft. Why is this major? Well, because Jaden Hardy was the number 2 overall player in the 2021 class and the top guard. As recent as a year ago, Hardy was projected to be a top 5 pick, and while projections don't matter that much to me, I still think that the Dallas Mavericks absolutely stole a player in Jaden Hardy. If Jaden Hardy just sat out this past year instead of playing, there's a chance that he's a lottery pick. He could have just pulled a Shaedon Sharpe, who was just drafted top 10, and at worst, been drafted higher than he was. I mean, falling all the way to 37th is a pretty steep fall for somebody that was once projected top 5. Imagine that LaMelo Ball chose to join the G League Ignite, and then he falls all the way deep into the second round. I know that that was never happening for various reasons, but still, that would have been ridiculous. I have immense respect for players that decide to forego college and play against pros and grown men. The experience that you gain in that time can be very invaluable. Jaden Hardy wouldn't be the only G League Ignite player drafted in this year's draft. For example, Dyson Daniels will go 8 to my New Orleans Pelicans, and Beauchamp would land with the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that Jaden Hardy was absolutely dominant on the Ignite or anything like that. He did have his struggles and growing pains. I didn't mention this earlier, but this is somebody that didn't have a senior season in high school when it came to basketball. Okay, so let me get to the point. I'm sure by now everybody's wondering, well, Coop, how did he do in the G League? You guys might get off of the train after I say this, but me, I'm still on it. During 12 G League Showcase Cup games facing off against other G League teams, Jaden would average 32 minutes a night. Not bad, right? He would also average 17.7 points, grab 4.6 rebounds a game, and dish out 3.2 assists. Now remember, this guy is only 19 years old. He's competing against talent that is better than that of your average D1 school. Well, here's where things start to get bad. Though he averaged 17.7 points, He would only shoot 35% from the floor and 26% from deep, while taking 6.5 3-pointers a game. There's no other way around it. He got a lot of shots up and he was turnover prone, averaging a negative assist turnover ratio at 3.2 to 3.5. Now here's where some of you guys may get back on the Jaden Hardy train. Let's dissect those stats a little further. In Hardy's last 8 games, his potential would be on full display, averaging 22.5 points, 4.9 rebounds, and 4.1 assists. These stats show Hardy's growth and a trend in the right direction for a young player that had missed some time that would prove to be a very valuable developmental year. According to No Ceilings NBA, the G League was about getting Hardy out of his comfort zone and working on his weaknesses. Hardy, somebody that projects to be a good shooter at the next level, is somebody whose primary playmaking that they wanted to develop, and I don't think that the Dallas Mavericks would be too mad at that. Though the numbers will tell you one thing, I think that Hardy's improvement will tell you what truly matters. Hardy's high school coach called Hardy a kid that does not stop working. He's never not in the gym, never not running, never not lifting weights. Hardy has the work ethic and now a much more solid foundation going into the NBA. Now, I know that there are going to be some people that highlight Hardy's struggles in the Summer League, seeing as he averaged 15 points and 5 assists on 34.7% from the field. Though these averages also aren't making anybody fire up trade machine to try to find ways to acquire Hardy, averages in the Summer League aren't everything. As a matter of fact, you can argue that they simply don't matter. Not long ago, I remember Trae Young catching an obscene amount of hate because of his early play in the Summer League. Trae was catching so much hate that he said keep that same energy. Now, I don't want to jump to any conclusions this early in Trae's career, but Trae turned out just fine, right? Yeah, when it comes to the Summer League, I focus on the positives and the process much more than the results. If your roster spot is secure, the Summer League is all about working on your areas of weakness. Oh yeah, and by the way, Hardy did drop 28 in his Summer League debut, and he flashed while doing it, showing the ability to get downhill while finishing through contact and also hitting tough shots. NBADraft.net compares Jaden Hardy to Buddy Hield, though I've seen some people favor him to Bradley Beal. NBADraft.net called Jaden Hardy a technically sound shooter who can score at all 3 levels. They said that he finishes through contact at an elite level at the rim and really knows how to create space for himself on the perimeter. If you ask me, that sounds like a dangerous combination that has the potential for a lot of upside. Definitely do not sleep on the athleticism of Jaden Hardy. Again, there was a reason that this guy was a potential top 5 pick at one point. Throughout the G League and Summer League, I also saw great flashes of Hardy when it came to playmaking and defense. I know that there are going to be a lot of people that simply think that I'm gassing, but I am seriously envious of the Dallas Mavericks for making this selection. They got a very high upside player with the 37th pick in the NBA draft. Remember that now Hardy is likely going to walk into playing with Luka Doncic if he's able to earn rotational minutes. When you play with a guy like Luka Doncic, the game becomes that much easier for you. Luka garners a lot of attention. You're going to be able to get easier looks. You're going to get a lot of opportunities to shoot or attack off the catch, both things that Jaden Hardy is pretty good at. I don't want to be dramatic. Okay, well, yeah, I kind of do. The Jaden Hardy pick has the potential to change the dynamic. All right, you know what? I'm going to chill. Let me know what you guys think of Jaden Hardy and the potential of the Dallas Mavericks down in the comments below. Look, there's always a chance that I'm gassing, but you could definitely do worse with the 37th pick in the NBA draft. I still can't believe that he fell that far. Even if he just becomes a rotational player, that's great value at 37 and a great help for the Dallas Mavericks. Clicking the video on the screen right now is a great way to support my channel. I'm GETLIKECOOP, bringing you guys the scoop until our next upload.